Here we have it, guys. The Falcon's last job, the last tow, and the newest project car for the channel. So, bam, look at that. We've got here VS Commodore. So, yeah, not a bad VS Commodore. It's actually quite nice and straight. Hardly any rust. This is actually a solid rear end version, so it's actually got a full diff. It should be a Borgie. I'm not actually sure whether it's a 78 or 86 or something, but either way, for what I want to do with this car, that diff should be easily sufficient, and you don't have the same sort of camber issues and squat issues that you have with the IRS version. So stoked to have found this thing. Got it for a really good price from a mate across the road. Really good price considering what they're going for these days. So as you can see, it is filthy. It's been sitting under a tree for quite some time. It's all moldy, needs a good wash. But apart from this dent here and this little dent here, everything that's here is really straight. Obviously it needs a bonnet, it needs headlights, and I need a front bar. It needs a few things, but all things that I have access to, things that I can get. So this is a new project car, VS Commo. So the interior is all here, needs a bit of a tidy up, classic Commodore things. Needs a roof liner, needs door glass and some rubbers for this door. They've been flogged out of it, but again, I know a guy that's got some VS's. I should be able to hopefully get a white bonnet and front bar, which would be awesome, because I don't want to paint this thing because it's actually quite straight, and it's actually in pretty good condition. It should clean up pretty well, all things considered. So the plan is to hopefully not paint it. Bit of a scratch there, might be able to touch that up, stuff like that, hoping to be able to touch up and stuff. But I don't want to put the money into painting this thing for what I'm going to do with it. But VS's and VR's have always been my favorite shape of all the Commodores, apart from obviously the VK. That was my number one, and I do like the VFs as well, the newer ones. But the VS, as far as the second gens and even the third gens, the VS does it for me. The VS VR, I think they're a really good shape. Not only that, but they're actually quite a reasonable weight. They're not super heavy. As far as Commodores goes, the VS VR is actually quite light. So I guess I should probably start talking about what the frickin' plan is for this thing. So as we were talking about in the last episode, the Falcon has just been such a good car to me. It's been such a good thing, and even though it's at the point where I can't justify throwing any more money at the car, I feel like the running gear definitely deserves a new lease on life. Now, as you guys know, the plan was to Barra the S13. Those plans changed obviously with the other LS drift car not working out and Rex needing a drift car, and it just made more sense to turn the S13 to Rex's LS drift car rather than Barra convert it for the sake of it. However, I just wanted to Barra convert something. So I originally really wanted to get hold of another 31 and Barra swap another 31, particularly a wagon, but 31 prices at the moment are just outrageous. They're so hard to get hold of for a decent price. It didn't work out that way. We had a mate across the road here at home, and he sold me this thing real cheap. And you know, although Barra VS has been done a million times, I figure it'd be a nice fun car to do, and it's making use of the running gear I've got here in the Falcon and putting it into another car that's a fair bit lighter. It's going to be a bit of fun, and if I'm being completely transparent and honest with you guys, I'm hoping to build this and hopefully sell it and capitalize and make a bit of money on the stuff that I've got lying around. So I really want to Barra swap something, but you always learn so much from the first one. My plan is to hopefully build this into something that's pretty cool, enjoy it for a little while, maybe sell it and capitalize on that, and take that money and build another, or continue to build. I've got so many cars I want to build, guys, and I can't afford to keep them all. So the plan is to start using what I've got to build cars to cash in so that I can continue to build the cars that I want to build for content and just to enjoy. And you know, eventually one day I'll probably decide a car that I really want to build for myself to keep forever. Hopefully one day that happens, but for now I'm just going to keep building the things I want to build and probably sell them. So the first iteration of my old R31 Skyline, like when I first bought it, it actually had a KKR 660 on it, which is a very old school sort of bush bearing turbo. They're sort of like one of the original, I suppose, cheap eBay turbos, you know, way back in the sort of 2000s. So quite old school stuff. And now there's nothing wrong with it. It was just way too big for my RB30 at the time, just a stock cam RB30 in that thing. That turbo was just real laggy. It wasn't a good setup, so I swapped it out for a 3076, but I've still got that turbo down there. So it is essentially the same size as around a GT35. So I'd be pretty well sized, I suppose, for a Barra that's not super serious. And again, it's been sitting there for ages. I've got to use it on something. So the plan is I'm going to rip the Barra and the BTR out of the Falcon here. You know, it's a bit of sentimental value to me on the channel, how well this thing's been for me. I know the gearbox is good. It's handled towing the whole time I've had it. I've always taken really good care of this engine. It's always had really good oil in it, and I've always run it on really good fuel, and it's never skipped a beat. We know it's pretty healthy. You know, it made 197 horsepower aspirated as it sits on the dyno through the BTR, so it's a pretty, even though it's got heaps of Ks on it, it's fairly healthy. So the plan is to use this because I know it's good running gear. I'm hoping to just get like a BA factory turbo manifold, just a T3 Barra turbo manifold. Use my KKR 660, just go external gate. I'm going to leave it all stock and put it in the VS and just turbo it. The plan is to hopefully make around 380 wheel. I'd be stoked with. 380 is pretty good for a stock setup, and that should hopefully be achievable, and this thing would be heaps of fun with 380 wheel. So that's the plan. So, you know, I had thought about doing valve springs and injectors and all that sort of stuff, and it sort of just opens a can of worms. Like, you do valve springs so that you can get a little bit more boost into it. You do injectors to, you know, so that you can, you know, keep the fuel up to that little bit more boost. Then all of a sudden you're making over 400 and the BTR's starting to get real unhappy. It sort of starts a chain reaction of upgrades that are sort of necessary to be or do that. I figure if I leave it completely stock with stock valve springs, stock injectors, and just up the fuel pressure 1 bar, because for those of you who don't know, the difference between the BA XR6 or XT or whatever you have, just the aspirated Barra, and the turbo version, the injectors were actually the same. It's just that the turbo versions ran extra fuel pressure. They ran 1 bar more fuel pressure. So the plan is, you know, stock injectors, stock valve springs, stock BTR, hopefully make that high 300-ish, and it shouldn't hopefully be enough to hurt anything, and it should all work pretty well together, and it should be a nice, cheap, quick build for me to do, and hopefully make some money out of. So that's the plan for the running gear. So I need to buy a conversion kit. I'm pretty sure Tough Mounts actually make one, and the only other thing I need for that running gear is actually a 2-bar map sensor, which came factory on the turbo version, so I need to get myself one of them from a wreckers, and obviously the manifold, and that should be it. Just an adjustable pressure regulator for the fuel system. Bump that up an extra bar so that it is essentially equivalent to a factory turbo spec fuel system, and, you know, hopefully turn it up to maybe 11 psi. It just sort of depends where we run out of flow with that turbo. I don't know how that turbo is going to behave, but either way, pretty much just go until that setup is limited and just leave it there is the plan. I don't want to overbuild it or over invest, and go from there. So that's the plan with the running gear. As far as the rest of the car, I'll take you down to where we're going to dump the car for now, and we'll go through what's going to happen with the rest of the car, what the plan is. Alright, so apart from our 4 litres of turboed Fury and the VTR, we're also going to be doing a little bit with the car, I suppose. Like I said, obviously getting it complete. I actually quite like the look of that Statesman wheel on the front there. I don't mind it. But anyway, a lot of you guys know that I've got this here VTSS. So this is actually the donor to the motor and gearbox that's going into the R31 drift car. So this is where it originally came from. This car's been around the channel for a while. I used to daily it for a little while. Yeah, not a bad rig. So I pulled the motor and gearbox out. I parted a lot of it out. A lot of the interior and stuff went, but a lot of it's still here, as you can see. The rest of us sort of just haven't really been able to move. But as most of you know, with Commodores, the VTSS had much bigger brakes than the likes of the VS, and it is a very common upgrade to put the VTSS brakes on it, which I still have. So the plan is to put the nice big VT brakes onto the VS. We're going to be using probably these Bellina wheels. I actually quite like the look of these wheels, the Bellina wheels, and I've got a nice set here. They're all quite nice and really good condition, not scratched up or anything. So some fresh tyres on those and onto the VS, and obviously I know that they clear the VT brakes, so that's all bonus there. So hopefully this is all painting a good picture for you guys in your head, just having a nice tidy white solid rear end VS with big VTSS brakes, then Bellina wheels, and our turboed Barra, and, you know, a BTR and a locker. It should be a pretty nice little car, nice little get up. And as I said, utilizing a lot of the stuff I've got already around here. So cheap build for us, good build for the channel. It should be some nice content, a fun car, and we should be able to make a few dollars on it to keep reinvesting into YouTube and keep on moving forward. Alright, sorry guys, I really need a haircut. Look at that. But anyway, the camera battery was going flat down there, so I didn't have time to film any more down there. But you get the idea. But I'm getting to a point where I really want to start getting rid of a lot of my cars and stuff that are down there, in the stockpile down there. You would have noticed that you know, obviously the Sylvia's getting built now, so it's up here. 31's getting built. I'm getting rid of my Crusaders. We've got a few cars there that I'm hoping to start turning into projects that we can build and sell, because not only does it create content for the channel, but like I said, it gives us something to sell at the end of it using what we've got lying around. So after that, you know, that SS shell, once I've got my brakes and stuff off that I want off that, I'm going to send the rest of that to scrap because I can't move it and I've got no use for it. So once I've used everything I want to use, I can get rid of that shell. It's another car out of here. Once the motor and box is out of this big girl, I'll get rid of this shell. It's another thing that can go. So it's just about trying to move forward with content and money in the channel and reinvesting and getting there. You know, I figure a high 300 wheel horsepower-ish Barra swapped VS that's registered, you know, road driving, that would probably run a fairly good time. We'll see what sort of ET we can get. I reckon bottom 11s. I figure something like that's got to be worth at least sort of 10 grand. And I'm hoping to take that sort of money, start on another project to do the same thing with, but also take a big chunk of that and get myself into a better tow car. Because obviously once I pull the motor and box out of this, I'm out of a tow car. So it's going to be not much point in me having the R31 here finished, which hopefully will not be far away. But I won't be able to tow it around with anything. So, you know, try and build a VS, get that sold, get a tow car, so I can keep on moving forward with my drifting and, you know, keep another little bit of money aside to start on the next project. So I've also got an EA Falcon down there that needs something done with it. I've got an AU Ute. I was thinking about maybe turboing the Intech out of the AU Ute and putting it in the EA and doing another something that we can sort of build and sell. The reason I'm not doing the EA first at the moment is because the EA needs paint, which is something I don't want to pay for. I haven't budgeted for this first one. So what I'm trying to do is start with the chunk of money that I've got now and start investing and continuing to turn that into more and more projects so that we can just keep the channel rolling and hopefully keep growing and going, rather than continuing to always just film customer cars and stuff. That's something I want to start trying to get away from. I don't think the content's very fulfilling when you're just filming customer cars. Anyway, I've just put the car down there for now. At the moment, I'm just going to try and get everything I need to build the car all together before I start. I want it to be one of those things that I can just steamroll through and build really fast, because in my head, the way it will all go together, as long as I've got all the parts, it should be a really quick build, which is obviously very good for content. It's really good for motivation, that sort of thing. So I've just put it down there for now, because obviously up here we're starting to get sort of full up with cars, so we don't really have room to leave it up here. So I'm going to start working on ordering all my conversion bits, maybe start trying to approach a few companies and try and get some support for this build. The other thing I am going to do is put a Powertrain Digital dash in it. Mark there at Powertrain Digital is going to send me a dash for a good price, obviously not free. But I'm so impressed with them, and it just simplifies everything, being able to just put a Powertrain Digital dash that's programmed for the CAN protocols from the Barra ECU and have everything in a digital dash. I mean, I don't have to worry about getting all the instruments in the VS cluster working. It just makes it so easy. So, you know, Barra, box and motor, stock turbo, manifold, KKR 660, external gate that we'll weld on somewhere. I'm trying to get something fairly cheap, maybe a GFB gate or something. And we'll go through the suspension, we'll replace what we have to replace, maybe put some King lowering springs in it, but I'm not going to go stupid with buying heaps of aftermarket stuff for it. Something like a true track in the diff, get a tail shaft built, adapt the radiator and everything, wire in the Barra, 2-bar map sensor, adjustable fuel pressure reg, tune with PCM Tech, Powertrain Digital dash, Dunskies. Makes it sound really easy when you put it like that. But I want to try and get like the aircon and everything work. I want it to have all of those creature comforts like a nice street car, just to make it worth that extra money at the end of the day. Anyway guys, my apologies for babbling on a bit. You just know I like to keep you all on the same page that I'm on so that you understand why I do the things I do. And I hope you're all looking forward to this build. I'm pretty keen on it, especially now that I finally got the car back here. I'm going to start ordering some stuff, getting everything together. So I hope you're looking forward to the content that's to come. I'm keen to have a street car again that's actually fast. It's been so long since I've had a street car that I can go and just destroy tires in Mexico. So there'll be plenty of cool content like that. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to it. So thanks for watching everyone. Smash like, hit subscribe so you don't miss anything. We'll try and get onto this build ASAP. Yeah, peace out. See you, bye.